Lee Jiho wiped the sweat from his forehead as he crawled through the narrow maintenance tunnel of Terra Station. The recycling system was acting up again, and at 24 years old, he knew every pipe and wire in this aging mining outpost better than anyone. He had lived here for 12 years, ever since Station Commander Park Hanna found him as a frightened 12-year-old boy on a broken ship. "Jiho, we need you in the cargo bay." Kim Miho's voice crackled through his communicator. Jiho sighed and started climbing down. He didn't remember his life before Terra Station. Park Hanna told him pirates had killed his family, and he was the only survivor. Sometimes he had strange dreams about places he'd never been and people he'd never met, but they always faded when he woke up. Life on Terra Station was simple. Wake up, fix things, eat, sleep, repeat. The station sat on the edge of council space, far from the powerful aliens who ruled the galaxy. Humans were considered a protected species, which really meant they were seen as too primitive to matter. Jiho accepted this. He had a home, people who cared about him, and honest work. What else did he need? Everything changed when the Vrax warship arrived. Commander Park's face was pale when she called Jiho to her office. "We have visitors. The Vrax are demanding an inspection and tribute." Jiho felt his stomach tighten. The Vrax were the Council's enforcers, giant reptile-like warriors who treated humans like children or pets. They came to human settlements to take supplies and make sure humans stayed in their place. The inspection seemed routine at first. 3 Vrax warriors in gleaming armor walked through the station while Commander Park explained their operations. Jiho tried to stay out of sight, continuing his work in the cargo bay. Then the Vrax commander, a scarred warrior named Croft, noticed something. He held a small crystal that pulsed with strange light. When he entered the cargo bay where Jiho was working, the crystal suddenly blazed brighter. "You, human, come here," Croft commanded. Jiho's legs felt like stone, but he walked forward. Every instinct told him to run, but Commander Park was watching with wide, frightened eyes. Something in her expression begged him to obey. "Give me your hand," Croft said, extending the glowing crystal. Jiho reached out slowly. The moment his fingers touched the crystal's smooth surface, pain exploded through his body. White light filled his vision. He heard screaming and realized it was his own voice. The world disappeared. When Jiho woke up, he wasn't in the station's normal medical bay. The equipment around him looked ancient but impossibly advanced. Glowing symbols covered machines he'd never seen before. Commander Park stood nearby, and she was crying. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I hope we'd have more time." "Commander, what's happening?" Jiho tried to sit up, but his body felt different. Stronger. Strange patterns glowed faintly on his skin before fading away. Park took a deep breath. "Everything I told you was a lie. Your parents didn't die in a pirate attack. They brought you to me 12 years ago and made me promise to hide you. I've been injecting you with drugs since you were 12, keeping you weak, keeping you normal. I don't understand." Park activated a display, and Jiho saw star maps showing hundreds of worlds. 10,000 years ago, humans weren't protected species living on the edge of space. We ruled vast parts of the galaxy. The Terran Ascendancy was one of the most powerful civilizations that ever existed. Then we vanished. The galaxy forgot we were ever great. She showed him images of magnificent cities and warships that could destroy planets. But some humans remained. The ones alive today are descendants of workers and servants left behind. And some of us were placed in sleep, waiting for a sign that the Ascendancy might return. Why are you telling me this? Park's hands shook as she activated another display. 2 people appeared, a man and a woman in armor that seemed made of light itself. Your father was Kong Taejin, a prince of the Ascendancy. Your mother was Song Myri, a scientist. You're not just human, Jiho. Your blood is a key to awakening every piece of Ascendancy technology scattered across the galaxy. That's why they've been searching for you. That's why I had to hide what you are. Alarms suddenly screamed through the hidden facility. Park's communicator erupted with panicked voices. "Commander, more Vrax ships just arrived. They're demanding we surrender the human who touched their artifact." Jiho stared at his hands, at the fading patterns on his skin. His simple life was over. The galaxy knew he existed, and somehow he understood that nothing would ever be the same again. Park Hanna grabbed Geo's arm and pulled him through the hidden corridors beneath Terra Station. Above them, the metal walls shook as Vrak's weapons hammered against the station's shields. Geo could hear people screaming, alarms blaring, and the awful sound of metal tearing apart. "Where are we going?" Geo asked, his legs still weak from whatever had happened when he touched the crystal. "To the vault. Your parents left something for you. Something that might save us all." They reached a massive door covered in strange symbols. As Geo approached, the symbols began to glow. The door recognized him somehow, responding to his presence. It opened smoothly, revealing a chamber filled with technology that made Geo's breath catch in his throat. At the center of the room floated a silver sphere, pulsing with light. When Geo stepped closer, a voice spoke in a language he shouldn't understand, but somehow did. Genetic signature confirmed. "Welcome, heir of the Ascendancy. I am Throne, artificial intelligence of the Guardian Fleet. I have waited 10,000 years for you." "I don't understand any of this," Geo said, his voice shaking. "You will," Throne replied. "Your genetic code contains knowledge passed down through your bloodline. I will unlock it now. This will hurt." Before Geo could respond, information flooded into his mind like water from a broken dam. Combat techniques, star maps, alien languages, weapon systems, ship designs. Everything crashed into his consciousness at once. Geo fell to his knees, screaming. It felt like his brain was being torn apart and rebuilt. "Stop. You're killing him," Park shouted. "If he cannot survive this, he is not worthy of his heritage," Throne said coldly. Through the agony, something awakened inside Geo. His awareness expanded outward like a wave, touching every system in the station. He could feel the Vrak ships orbiting above, their weapons charging for another attack. He sensed the station's hidden defense systems, dormant for thousands of years, waiting for someone with the right blood to activate them. With a thought, Geo woke them up. Ancient weapons burst from Terra Station's surface, firing beams of pure energy that sliced through the Vrak's shields like they were paper. The Vrak's commander's voice erupted over the communication system, filled with terror. "Ascendancy weapons. Impossible. All ships retreat." But Geo wasn't finished. His consciousness reached into the Vrak's flagship's computer systems and simply turned everything off. The massive warship went dark and began tumbling through space, powerless but intact. He hadn't killed them. He could have, but something inside him refused to take that step. When the pain finally stopped, Geo collapsed on the floor, gasping for breath. Park knelt beside him, her face wet with tears. "Geo, are you still you?" "I think so," he whispered. "But I remember things now. Not everything, but enough. My parents. Why they hid me." He looked up at Throne. "Show me their final message." A hologram appeared. His mother, Song Myri, her eyes red from crying. "My son, if you're seeing this, then they found you. You need to understand the truth. The Ascendancy didn't die. We transcended, merging our consciousness with the fabric of space itself. We became something beyond physical form. But there's a terrible cost to our return." His father, Kong Taejin, appeared beside her. "Every human alive today, billions of innocent people, will be erased when the Ascendancy completes its resurrection. You are the anchor point, the bridge they need to return to physical reality. That's why we hid you. We won't let them destroy humanity's children just to reclaim their old glory." His mother's voice broke. "Run, Geo. Stay hidden. Or fight. But know that every time you use your power, you call them closer to our world." The message ended, leaving Geo staring at the empty air where his parents' faces had been. Kim Miho's terrified voice came through the communicator. "Commander, more ships are arriving. Dozens of them. It's a full council fleet." Park looked at Geo. "We need to leave. Right now." "There's a ship," Throne said. "The Sovereign Dawn, last of the Guardian-class vessels. It waits in a hidden bay beneath the station. Only you can pilot it, heir." Geo stood up, his body feeling different now. Stronger, more aware. He could sense every person on the station, every system, every threat. Get everyone to the evacuation shuttles. I'll hold them off. I'm not leaving you, Park said firmly. Geo smiled slightly. Then come with me. I'll need someone who knows what they're doing. The Sovereign Dawn was beautiful. When Geo stepped aboard, the ship came alive, bonding with his mind. He could feel every system, every weapon, every capability. The ship was part of him now, or he was part of it. Above them, 40 Council warships surrounded Terra Station. Their commander, Chancellor Vexer, appeared on the view screen. Surrender immediately, or we will destroy everyone on that station. Jiho sat in the command chair, feeling the ship's power flowing through him. No, I'm leaving and you won't stop me. One ancient ship against an entire fleet? You're insane. Jiho closed his eyes and merged his consciousness fully with the Sovereign Dawn. Want to test that? The battle lasted 3 minutes. The Sovereign Dawn moved like a living creature, dancing between weapons fire. Jiho disabled ship after ship, careful not to kill anyone. When it was over, half the Council fleet was drifting powerless in space. As they jumped into hyperspace, leaving his old life behind forever, Jiho felt something else. A presence at the edge of his mind, vast and ancient. The transcended ascendancy, aware of him now, reaching across dimensions. They were coming. By the next morning, Jiho's face was everywhere. Every news channel across the galaxy showed his image with the same terrifying label, catastrophic threat. The Galactic Council had placed a bounty on his head large enough to buy an entire planet. Mercenaries, bounty hunters, and desperate criminals flooded space stations and trading posts, all searching for one human who could unlock ancient weapons. The Sovereign Dawn jumped from system to system, never staying anywhere long enough to be caught. But running was taking its toll on Jiho. Every time he used the ship's full power, he had to channel energy through his own body. And each time he did, he felt the transcendent ascendancy pressing closer to his mind, their whispers growing louder. We can't keep running forever, Park Hanna said, studying tactical maps in the ship's war room. The Council has sent hunter fleets to every known ascendancy site. They're closing in on us. Jiho stared at the star charts, his mind racing. Then he made a decision that surprised everyone. We're going to Earth. Park's eyes widened. Earth is a preserved world. The Council forbids advanced humans from visiting. If you go there and they catch you, I need to see it. Jiho interrupted quietly. I need to remember why I'm fighting. I need to see what humanity became without the ascendancy. 3 days later, Jiho piloted a small shuttle down Earth alone, landing in mountains that his genetic memory told him had once been called Korea. The Sovereign Dawn stayed hidden in orbit, its stealth systems protecting it from Council sensors. The village below looked peaceful. Simple wooden homes sat among terrace farms. Children played by a stream while their parents worked in fields. These people knew nothing about the Terran ascendancy, about galactic politics, about ancient wars. They were just living their lives. Jiho walked among them, and nobody recognized him. His face was famous across the galaxy, but these villagers had no access to galactic news networks. To them, he was just a traveler passing through. In a small tea house, an elderly woman smiled and invited him to sit. She poured him tea with wrinkled but steady hands. You look troubled, young man, she said kindly. Jiho accepted the tea, feeling its warmth spread through his hands. I have to make a difficult choice. I could give my people great power, make them strong again, but it would cost everything that people like you have built. The old woman nodded slowly. My grandmother used to say that power is like fire. It can warm your home or burn it to ashes. Everything depends on the hand that holds it. What if my hand isn't steady enough? She smiled. Then, perhaps you need to question whether that fire should burn at all. Jiho sat with her for an hour, watching village life unfold around him. A young couple held hands as they walked together. A father taught his son to fish. A group of children invented a game with sticks and stones. These people were vulnerable. Yes, they had no advanced technology, no weapons that could split planets. But they were alive in a way the ascendancy had never been. They were growing, stumbling, finding their own path. When Jiho returned to the Sovereign Dawn, He knew with absolute certainty that he would never let his ancestors erase these people. Whatever it cost him, he would protect humanity's right to remain imperfect and free. But the galaxy wasn't giving him time to plan. News reached them that the Galactic Council had fractured. Some species saw Jiho as a potential liberator who could free them from council oppression. Others saw only the nightmare of human supremacy returning. War was brewing, and Jiho was at the center of it. Then Chancellor Vexer sent a message broadcast across every communication channel. To Lee Jiho, the Council offers negotiations. Meet us at Nexus Station in neutral space. Come alone, and we will discuss terms. Refuse, and we will deploy weapons that will sterilize every human world in the galaxy. You have 72 hours to decide. It's obviously a trap, Park said immediately. Of course it's a trap, Jiho agreed, but it's also an opportunity. Over the following days, Jiho gathered allies. Dr. Yoon Sarah, a scientist who had been studying ascendancy genetics in secret, joined them. On Taeyong, a massive four-armed alien who had once been a council enforcer, offered his strength. Lee Hanul, a young woman with psychic abilities, brought her visions of possible futures. If you go to Nexus Station, many will die, Hanul warned, her eyes distant and unfocused. But if you don't go, everyone dies. The path forward is narrow, but it exists. Jiho made his decision. Then we're going, all of us together. As the Sovereign Dawn approached Nexus Station, Jiho could see the massive ring-shaped structure floating in space. 300 species had representatives waiting inside. The entire Galactic Council assembly would be watching. Park placed a hand on his shoulder. Whatever happens in there, remember who you are, not what they want you to be. Jiho took a deep breath. He was Lee Jiho from Terra Station. He was the last heir of the Terran Ascendancy. He was a maintenance technician who had learned to move starships with his mind. He was all of these things, and none of them. He was simply a young man trying to save his people. The airlock opened, and Jiho walked forward to meet his destiny. The hunt was over. Now came the real test. The council chamber was enormous, with representatives from 300 species arranged in rising tiers like an ancient amphitheater. Jiho walked down the central aisle with his crew beside him, feeling thousands of alien eyes watching his every step. Chancellor Vexer stood at the chamber's heart, his crystalline body refracting light into rainbow patterns. You actually came, Vexer said, unable to hide his surprise. I expected you to run. I'm tired of running, Jiho replied simply. You wanted to talk, so let's talk. The negotiations were predictable. The council demanded that Jiho submit to containment, surrender all ascendancy technology, and accept permanent chemical inhibitors that would strip away his abilities forever. They wanted him to become a prisoner for the rest of his life. You're asking me to accept that humanity will always be inferior, Jiho said quietly, that we'll never be allowed to stand as equals. We're asking you to prevent a war that could destroy trillions of lives, Vexer countered. Jiho had prepared for this moment. He reached out with his consciousness, touching the ancient relay node buried deep in the station's core. Ascendancy technology recognized his genetic signature instantly and responded. Every screen in the station suddenly showed Jiho's face. More than that, every screen across the entire galaxy displayed the same image. Trillions of beings on thousands of worlds stopped what they were doing to watch. My name is Lee Jiho, he said, his voice carrying to every corner of known space. The Council fears me because I represent what humanity could become. But I'm not here to threaten anyone. I'm here to offer choice. He showed them recordings from Earth, from Terra Station, from hundreds of human worlds. Simple people working, laughing, raising children, dreaming of better futures. These are my people. They don't want to rule the galaxy. They just want the chance to exist as equals. I'm not asking for dominion. I'm asking for respect. Work with me, and I'll share ascendancy technology with everyone who treats humanity fairly. Refuse, and I'll build alliances with every species you've oppressed. One day you'll stand alone, wondering where your power went. The broadcast ended. Chaos erupted in the council chamber. Some species cheered. Others screamed for Jiho's immediate execution. Then the lights went out. The darkness lasted only seconds, but in that brief time, everything changed. Jiho felt a massive surge of energy from the relay node beneath the station. Horror filled him as he realized what had happened. The Ascendancy. Lee Hanul gasped, her psychic senses screaming in pain. You open the gateway. They use your broadcast. Across the galaxy, dormant installations roared to life. Ancient weapons platforms, automated factories, defense networks that had slept for 10,000 years, all awakening at once, all responding to Jiho's genetic signature. And through these anchor points, the transcended ascendancy began forcing their way back into physical reality. Chancellor Vexer stared at Jiho in pure terror. What have you done? I didn't mean to, Jiho started, but then he felt them, millions of consciousnesses pressing against the dimensional barriers, using the activated technology as doorways. If they succeeded in returning, every human in the galaxy carrying even a trace of Ascendancy DNA would be overwritten, their personalities erased and replaced. 7 billion people would die, so the Ascendancy could live again. A coalition fleet, species terrified of the Ascendancy's return, suddenly opened fire on the station. Weapons tore through diplomatic shields. The chamber began depressurizing, alarms shrieking. Jiho reacted without thinking, extending his power to create a barrier protecting everyone in the chamber. But the effort nearly broke him. He felt his identity fragmenting as the Ascendancy consciousness flooded in, trying to take control of his body and mind. Give in, they whisper with a million voices. Accept us. We are your destiny. Park Hannah grabbed his face, forcing him to look at her. Jiho, stay with me. Don't let them take you. With tremendous effort, Jiho pulled back from the edge. Everyone get to the ships. We're leaving. Now. They fled to the edge, a region of space, so remote that few maps even marked it. Dozens of ships followed. Council refugees who believed Jiho was their only hope. But Jiho knew the terrible truth. Every hour that passed, he felt more Ascendancy memories bleeding into his mind. Not just knowledge, but entire lifetimes, thousands of personalities trying to erase who he was. Leah Newell found him in the meditation chamber, tears streaming down her face. I've seen all the futures, she whispered. In every timeline where you fight them, you lose yourself. You become them. But in every timeline where you don't fight, humanity dies. There has to be another way, Jiho said desperately. There is. She met his eyes. You have to infect them with your humanity. Force them to experience what it means to be one person, not millions. Make them feel mortality, fear loneliness, everything they escaped. But Jiho, the feedback will destroy your mind. You might not survive. Dr. Yoon Sarah entered with her analysis. I can modify your genetic connection, make it flow both ways. But forcing millions of transcended beings to experience individuality again, the psychic backlash could kill you. Jiho looked at his crew, Park, who had protected him for 12 years. Dr. Yoon, who believed in humanity's potential. On Taeyong, who had abandoned the council to fight for justice. Lee Hanul, who saw the terrible futures and still had hope. Will it save them? Jiho asked quietly. Yes, Dr. Yoon replied. Then do it. The procedure took 3 days, and Jiho screamed until his voice disappeared. Dr. Yoon Sarah worked without rest, rewriting his genetic code at the molecular level. Every cell in his body was being transformed, the connection to the Ascendancy changing from a one-way channel into something that flowed both directions. Jiho's consciousness expanded across dimensional barriers, touching the transcended Ascendancy. But now, instead of them pulling him into their collective existence, he was forcing them down into individuality. Millions of voices that had merged into perfect unity for 10,000 years were suddenly torn apart, forced to remember what it meant to be separate, alone, and mortal. Their screams echoed through dimensions. Stop. Please, they begged. This is agony. Now you understand. Jiho whispered through waves of pain. This is what you wanted to erase. This is what every human alive today feels every single day. And you were willing to destroy them all just to escape it. The transcended Ascendancy recoiled in horror, retreating from the anchor points they had established. Installations across the galaxy went dark again, released from compulsion to pull them back into physical reality. The threat was over. When the procedure ended, Jiho collapsed, barely breathing. Lee Hanul caught him before he hit the floor. "You did it," she whispered. "They've pulled back. Humanity is safe." But Jiho knew the truth as he lay there gasping. He could still feel the ascendancy at the edge of his mind, wounded, confused, but not destroyed. They would remember this. They would adapt. The war wasn't over. It had just entered a new phase. 6 months later, Jiho stood before the rebuilt Galactic Council. This time he wasn't a fugitive or a threat. He was an ambassador, backed by a fleet of restored ascendancy vessels and 50 worlds that had declared support for human equality. Chancellor Vexer looked older now, his crystalline body dimmer than before. "You've forced our hand," he said bitterly. "Half the galaxy follows you. The other half fears you. What you want?" "A treaty?" Geo replied calmly. He projected a document for all to see. The Terran Covenant. Humanity joins the galactic community as equals, not as protected species. We share ascendancy technology with anyone who agrees to fair trade and mutual defense. In exchange, we accept reasonable oversight, but not domination. "You ask us to give up our power," a Vrax representative growled. "The Council has maintained order for 50,000 years. Your order was built on keeping my people as servants," Jiho said firmly. "That ends now. Accept the treaty, or watch as more species leave to join humanity's alliance. Your choice." The debate lasted for hours. Some supported Jiho. Others refused. Then the crystalline hierarchy made their move. 200 warships dropped out of hyperspace, weapons charging. "If we cannot control him, we will destroy him," their admiral declared. The battle was fierce. Jiho's fleet met the assault, but the hierarchy had prepared weapons specifically designed to counter ascendancy technology. Ships exploded. People died. Jiho felt each death like a knife to his heart. He could end this. He could unleash weapons that would reduce the enemy fleet to atoms. But that would make him exactly what everyone feared, a tyrant using ancient power to dominate through violence. Lee Hanul touched his shoulder, called to them. "The ascendancy consciousness is still listening. They remember what you taught them." Jiho closed his eyes and reached out, not to the technology, but to the transcended beings themselves. "Help me," he asked. "Not to conquer, to protect. Show the galaxy that you can be more than weapons." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then reality rippled. The transcended ascendancy manifested as fields of pure energy that swept through the battle. They didn't destroy the hierarchy ships. They simply stopped them. Every weapon system shut down. Every shield collapsed. The entire fleet hung paralyzed in space, unable to fight, but completely unharmed. "Enough!" Geo's voice boomed across all frequencies. "No more death. We can be better than this." The galaxy fell silent. In the aftermath, the Council had no choice but to accept the Terran Covenant. Humanity joined the galactic community as equals. Ascendancy technology would be shared carefully, with safeguards against misuse. Geo became humanity's voice, not a ruler, but a representative who spoke for all human worlds. 5 years later, Geo returned to Earth. He visited the tea house in the mountains, where the old woman's granddaughter now ran the business. She smiled when she saw him and offered tea without treating him like a celebrity. "Your grandmother was wise," Geo told her. "She said you would return someday," the young woman replied. "She told me you had to choose between fire that destroys and fire that warms." "I'm still learning the difference," Geo admitted. Children played in the village below. Some showed signs of awakened abilities. Others remained happily baseline human. Both choices were respected. Earth had joined the galactic community slowly, carefully, on its own terms. The sovereign dawn waited in orbit, ready for the next challenge. There would always be crises, conflicts, and injustices that needed attention. But for the first time in 12 years, Jiho wasn't hiding who he was. He was Lee Jiho from Terra Station. He was the last heir of the Terran Ascendancy. He was humanity's voice in a galaxy learning to listen. He was exactly who he chose to be. The stars that once looked down on humanity now witness its rebirth, not through conquest, but through courage, not through domination, but through dignity. The Terran ascendancy was gone, but humanity's true journey had only just begun, and at its center stood one young man who had refused to become either a prisoner or a tyrant, who had found a path no one imagined possible.